Right. Thank you all very much for joining today, especially those who joined early and those who are joining on the hour. So before we start, the presentation is going to last 20 minutes. So hopefully that will be enough time to cover the topic around digital marketing and how I've been spending the last 20 years using digital marketing to raise assets within hedge funds, asset managers, and investment management companies. So much so that I saw such a trend that we created the business ProFundCom around that. So less about me, more about the subject. So what I was hoping to cover today was looking at the trends that we've seen over the last 12 to 18 months and how that's shaping the digital marketing landscape for probably the next period of time. And essentially, what we've seen is that there are winners and losers around digital marketing. And whether that's your website, whether that's your investor portal, whether that's your social footprint, whether it's the events you run, or your analytics. There are people who are embracing these trends who I believe will be the winners in the next period of time. And, we won't talk about the others. So the 4 areas I'll be talking about today in the next 20 minutes is the concept of integrated marketing and how that generates a really good return on investment on your marketing spend. We'll be looking at AI and machine learning, and I've been working on machine learning since I left school all the way through today, and I have some insights into the realities of what it is about, and the art of the possible, the art of the impossible, and what's kind of been spun where we'll all be driving around cars autonomously. The other thing we'll be looking at is tactical and strategic marketing, how there's a big shift now that's actually being forced by project management tools and collaboration tools around creating a strategic marketing plan. And finally, the big buzzword, ESG investment. We'll be looking at that briefly at the very end. So, integrated marketing. Historically and traditionally, integrated marketing was all about your print and making sure that your print and maybe your website was all integrated. But that's changed significantly with investment managers, asset managers, hedge fund of funds, private banks, and people and family offices. It's changed. And it's changed because the demands of the people using your website has changed as well. So here are some examples of where a trend we've seen is where our clients are basically giving investors a really great web experience. So they really can just be on a website, on an investor portal, which is easy to navigate. The data is all available. They've got an excellent interface and advanced and simple searching, so they can get to where they want to get to quickly. And the reason for that, because that is the user experience you get when you're on Amazon, when you're on, maybe not eBay, that's a bit dated, but when you're on Amazon, when you're on John Lewis, when you're anywhere on the web. This is the experience we are very used to. And why should it be any different for if you're an asset manager? So that's one big trend we've seen. We've seen the trend around marketing to create these interfaces. So that's for Generali. The other one for Merian, again, a UX that's really, really strong. Another trend that we've seen around digital marketing, especially on people's websites, and here's Fulcrum's website, is they are providing really good thought leadership pieces around their funds. But are not self-serving in any way. The writers speak in their own voice, and they build a real one-to-one connection with their audience. Now, this audience could be investors, it could be prospects, it could be people interested in a strategy, but this information is actually not hidden behind a firewall, interestingly enough, for Fulcrum. They actually make this information freely available. Why do they do this? I think they make it freely available because at one level, it really helps on their search engine optimization. So it ranks them really well on Google. And at the other part is it's their culture. And so their culture is, here's our information. We are thought leaders. We actually don't need your information. That's fine. So that's all about their brand and how they see themselves. So on the integrated marketing side, there is obviously the investor portal I've shown you, and there's also the kind of thought leadership part of your website. That's quite, that's part of the mix. The other part of integrated marketing, which people tend to leave out, is events that people run. And this has been a really interesting insight that I've gained, is that, and this is the kind of quote I put up there, which somebody gave me, is all roads to digital, so website, investor portal, all need to facilitate a face-to-face meeting. That's one amazing insight I got. Now, obviously, we all know people buy from people. Okay, we get that. But this was really incredible, that the AUM world is an offline world. And that's really something that really stuck with me when I actually spoke to these clients to say, all our spend around web-based marketing or new world marketing or integrated marketing or marketing 2.0 is all around facilitating face-to-face meetings and understanding that generating AUM is an offline activity. And that's why events are as important, if that's your strategy, marketing strategy. It's really important to not only drive your brand, but also to get some real good ROI out of all your marketing campaigns. So the other part of integrated marketing, now that I've shown you events and investor portals and websites and the few insights we've gained from there, is social media outreach. Now, it's very interesting that, some of our clients use social media like LinkedIn, some use Facebook, and some use Twitter. It's all good. However, what we have found is that brand awareness actually goes up with social media and outreach. But what we're finding is that engagement, as in people clicking through, downloading white papers, invitation to events, is actually dropping. But engagement actually goes up the more video you're actually able to, short clips, 2-minute videos. That has worked really well. And that's really so, investors and prospects can kind of see what's kind of behind the blandness of a brand. And the reason I kind of picked these three clients of ours out, because there's an element of blandness to it, which doesn't really resonate. So the real push is to find ways to make things engaging. And video, the best way to engage in video is to have people's faces on there. Faces engage. And we have run the metrics many times to say people engage with faces. And that has been a real insight. And also being consistent. And I'll come to that later. But it's no point tweeting in the middle of the night. There's no point sending out, we run an award at Wealth Briefing Awards just once and do nothing for 6 to 9 months, because that kind of really exposes your inner workings to the outside world. And again, it's all part of what I'll come to later, is how, as a marketing team, do you see yourselves, your company, and what you stand for? Because that's really what people are trying to find out when you're marketing. They're trying to find out, not how well your fund is performing, that's part of it, but they're really trying to find out, what do you stand for? Because there's so much noise in the market competing for the AUM. It's confusing. It's noisy, it's confusing. So it's almost that what people remember, more than they remember your performance, they remember what you stand for. And that kind of, again, ties in with this whole ESG element as well. But again, we'll come to that. So what is the Holy Grail? What is the Holy Grail of integrated marketing? This is the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is being able to look at your website activity, your social media activity, your email activity, your investor portal activity from one place to actually understand how you're performing across multiple channels. The losers, and I see it all the time, are running 4 to 5 different systems with disparate data, and there's no way to actually join the dots. There's no way to actually say, and it's for marketing directors, there is a budget call at the end of the year, and you know that famous quote, I know where half my budget goes, just don't know which half is effective. You're fighting for that dollar. And if, as a marketing team, you can't demonstrate ROI, you can't trend your marketing spends activity over time and tie that back to AUM, the marketing teams will never ever be seen to be serious. And it's that classic quote, what do you do when a fund goes bad? Really easy. No biscuits at meetings, no first class travel, and the marketing team can go for a swim. And I've seen that in 2008, and dare I say, it's coming again potentially post-Brexit. So, you know, you heard it here first. So campaign ROI, and here's really something really interesting, because that's just the number. And if you were to drill down on that further, which you could have done if this was a live app, you'd actually see sitting behind that ROI is the ability to say who your new prospects are, who are the most active people engaging with you digitally, the number of people you have been reaching out to, and most importantly, what new opportunities have come from all that marketing spend, all those activities that you've been running, all that website engagement, social engagement, and physical event management that you're doing. Putting that all together, this is the screen that the single sheet that goes into a board pack for you to say, this is the reason why we, as a marketing team, are justifying your spend with us. Now, assuming you've got this data to hand, then you might as well just come out this webinar right now. But even though this looks pretty and it looks like, wow, that looks reasonably easy to do, the real challenge about integrated marketing is not just integrating your social, not just integrating your web, not just integrating your events, not just integrating anything else. It's about integrating your marketing, your IT, and your sales. Question is, how do you do this? With lots of persuasion, and you connect it all up with this magical glue called APIs. So at this point, as a marketer, you're probably thinking, that's a little too nerdy for me. And here's what I have to say. The marketing teams that will win will all be IT specialists. And in fact, probably about a year ago, somebody told me, a really successful marketing team told me, actually, Paul, we are IT specialists that do a bit of marketing. And that was a real eye-opener for me, because it's right. It's right. That's where the world is going in marketing, is that marketing teams have to all be IT specialists. So I hope you found that part useful. I know I've labored on that one, but hopefully we'll kind of swim through in the next 15 minutes, sorry, 5 minutes, on AI, machine learning, and tactical, strategic, and ESG. So AI and machine learning are just tools, and they're just tools for us in marketing to help the sales team target new investment. And it's almost worth not worrying about the heavy lifting that's involved, and to just let the algorithms that have been developed, is just to let the strategies that have been programmed into all these AI engines to actually deliver the results and then test the results. And the great thing about AI and machine learning is that if the results don't work, you can just retrain the machine. So what outputs and what outcomes do we need an AI engine or a machine learning engine or report to look like? Well, at the very, very basic level, it's the ability to target prospects within your database, investors as well, if they're not engaging with you, or if they are engaging with you, is to find out who are the people for the sales team to call. When we started ProFuncom, it was all built around how can I make my sales team 20% more efficient? And that's kind of where we believe the world is going. More efficiency and more automation. Now, automation isn't robots flying around. Automation is how can I not fiddle around with Excel for days, weeks, and months and just get the system to tell me things like who are our first-time readers, who are our most active readers, which of our investors have stopped reading us, and which of our prospects have suddenly started reading what we're sending out. And that could be website, investor portal, and from that, you can start programming your AI engine and develop a machine learning algorithm on the back of that. The next part of this is looking at how you can actually find out from your content, where your content starts to be automated, where you can look at which themes are working, what content should be manually generated, what should be automatically generated, what personas are you missing? And personas are really interesting because personas is where you sit down and work out, this is the typical investor in our fund. And then programming that into the engine to say, as soon as this type of person hits us, whether that's the website, whether that's on social, whether that's an event, send a big red light to say, here is somebody that we need to engage with. And the other thing to look at with your AI engine is to kind of say, right, program it so that it can identify, probably the most powerful thing that an AI engine can do is to look at cross-selling opportunities. And this is all built around, if people have invested in your fund, actually to kind of upsell them or to kind of offer them something else is way more easier than actually finding somebody from scratch. Cost of acquisition from somebody new versus somebody who's an existing investor. And they do say 90% of people buy from people they already know. Now, with all this information in the last 3 slides, again, you want a way to bring that all together in one place. And the reason for that is because if data is not easily accessible, it actually won't get accessed and used at all. And again, all that investment made in events, website, investor portal, yada, 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 will just be wasted unless it can be given to a sales team in a digestible format. And this is a concept of where we're bringing in what we call predictive actual behavior, like website activity and digital engagement, against information that's being generated by an AI engine that are the new prospects and star prospects. Again, a dashboard that a salesperson can go in and without worrying about pretty charts can actually go to people click on their link and actually find out who they are and do they need a call. So again, what trend are we seeing? Marketing teams are all data scientists. The winners are going to be guys and girls who really understand that marketing is all about the analytics and it's all about the data. And what I do say a lot is if you are in marketing and you've got a marketing team, you really need someone who's a data scientist in there, or a maths background, or at best, or at least someone who knows Excel really well. So again, an insight that again, we've found over the last period of time, and I really believe is going to be the way forwards. Tactical to strategic. Well, that's, again, something I'm seeing more and more, where our clients are doing less ad hoc mailings, less ad hoc events, less ad hoc posts, and they're being really, really structured in how they're doing things. And what they've really identified is as a company, as a fund, as fund managers, what do they stand for? And again, I spoke about this earlier on, and I'm kind of bringing that now to the presentation, is ultimately when somebody thinks of your company, thinks of your fund, what do they think of? Outside performance. Because we are conditioned to think that people care about the performance. Interestingly enough, in 15 years of working at Pro Fundcom and talking to people, it's actually not the first thing they think of. And these are, people who are actually investors. It's not the thing they think of. They're thinking long term, because we are a long tail side sales cycle. They're thinking long term, what does this brand represent? What do they stand for? And once you've built that, once you've understood that, whether you do currently or you need to think about what you stand for, that's when you start thinking about being strategic about how your portal is built, how your website's designed, how you push out content on social, and how you run events. That is so key to presenting a brand as a joined up picture. The final part to this is, how do you actually deliver this? And I have to say, the teams that are absolutely, quote unquote, smashing it are using these project management tools like Asana, Jira, even Excel or Basecamp. These products are absolutely fantastic. But once you've actually understood how you're going to go about your social, your events, your web, your portal, absolutely, they put them in these project management tools, and the tools will actually schedule all the workflow and all the activities, manual as well as computational, to actually deliver a really great strategic marketing program. I cannot stress this enough. If you guys in marketing are not using these tools, you're going to struggle to be on the winning side. So with that in mind, and literally what I've just spoken about, marketing teams are project management teams. If you are not project minded, if you're not looking at things as silos of activities put into a project management tool, it goes from chaos to things that aren't delivered. Things aren't delivered, they're not measured. You go back and ask for more budget, you won't get more budget. It's not a winning formula. Finally, ESG. And the number of times people are talking to me about ESG, don't get caught out. Don't get caught out. Marketing is about values. If this is not your core value, don't do it, because you'll get sniffed out. What some of our clients are doing, they are actually going around the process of actually creating another brand around their existing brand to actually do their ESG funds. Worth thinking about if you're going to do it. Don't get caught out is all I would say. And that's kind of it, really. Those are the 4 things. And the last point in this was marketing as a core function. If you get all these right, if you follow these trends, I believe for the next 12 to 24 months, even if you've got to start somewhere or you're doing great in some areas, these are the 4 things that I am seeing, and that people at ProFundCom, my other account directors who work with me, are saying is that these are the 4 trends that will affect how you're raising assets. Understanding that it's the marketing team's role over the next period of time is changing and has already changed. So I hope you found that useful. Thank you all very much for your time. I've gone over by 5 minutes. And as they say, I hope it was worth it. This will be available as a replay, and we'll summarize this in a white paper in the coming week or so. So once again, thank you all very much for your time. If you've got any questions, you can just reply to the email that was sent out, or you can email me at paul.das@profundcom.net. Wonderful. Thank you all very much.